I made a list on the coolest killers and lamest killers here in Dead by Daylight. We're gonna work our way up from the lamest killers at the bottom to the freaking coolest killers at the very top. I'm only ranking the killers based on their design. No lore or powers will be considered for this list. Simply how cool they are is literally all I care about in today's video. So let's get right into it. Now, starting us off at the very bottom of the list in the actually pretty lame category, frowny face, is going to be the twins. Now, remember I said that this is strictly based off the design. Now, I do think it's kind of cool how Victor is kind of chilling in Charlotte's like stomach chest area, but to be fair, it's not really cool. It's just disturbing. I don't know. What do you guys think? I honestly just, nothing about the twins really screams like this is awesome to me. I don't know. Do you guys feel the same way? Now, coming up next in the actually pretty lame category is going to be the Legion. Now, I'm sorry if there are any Legion mains out there, but to be honest, I don't know. He's not really cool in my opinion. He's kind of short and all he really has is the knife and the mask. Now, while the mask is kind of cool, I don't think it's enough to really keep them out of the pretty lame category, in my opinion. The colors for his clothing are pretty bland, and it's no special knife or anything either. It's literally just a guy in a decently cool mask just running around stabbing people. Now, there are only very few killers in DBD that I actually think are kind of lame, and the last one in this category is going to be the clown. Now, again, I'm sorry if there are any clown mains, but to be honest, are there really any clown mains? I don't know. He's not really cool. He's kind of just gives off a more creepy vibe to me. He's an overweight person who looks like he just smoked and, I don't know, ate Big Macs for literally his entire life and then turned into a clown. I don't know. His knife is really cool and his outfit's kind of all right. But other than that, like, nah. Now, coming up next in the not pretty cool category is going to be the Huntress. Now, I think the Huntress actually does have some redeeming qualities. I really do like her mask, and the axe is pretty cool. And she actually is pretty tall, which is kind of menacing as well. Other than that, like, it's not really screaming like I'm super cool to me. It's just a really tall girl with an axe with the decently cool mask. That's really all it is to me. I'm sorry, Huntress mains. I'm sorry. Coming up next and not really cool is going to be the Pig. Now, I do think the Pig actually, again, has some redeeming qualities. I like the retractable blade. And the pig mask is kind of okay. Maybe just a little creepy. But other than that, it's just a girl in a pig head costume thing. And I don't know. Again, this is an opinion video and I just don't think she's really cool. Now, coming up next, it might actually be kind of controversial, but I do think that Pinhead actually isn't really that cool in my opinion. To me, it comes across as more weird to have this guy or this immortal being just have a bunch of literally pins all in his head. And again, we're just ranking based on aesthetics. We're not taking any powers into consideration. So all you really have is this tall, slender guy with pins all in his head. Is it cool or is it weird? You guys decide. Now, coming up next and not really cool is going to be Ghostface. Now, you're going to see a pattern of people in like masks that are going to be kind of lower on the list because literally all it is to me is just a person with a mask that maybe has evil intentions. That's the same thing with Ghostface. Again, no lore considered. It's just a guy in a decently creepy mask with kind of a Grim Reaper hood, which is kind of cool. That's why I ranked him a little bit higher up. But other than that, he's just a guy with a knife and a mask. Yeah. Now, last on our not really cool category is going to be Leatherface. Now, I'm sorry if there's any Bubba mains watching the video, but to me, I don't know, his chainsaw is actually really cool. His weapon is to me, I just get more creeped out than like getting cool vibes from his mask. Literally, it's someone else's skin. Now, that could be pretty cool if you're messed up, or it could be pretty weird if you're normal. I don't know. I don't know. He's tall. He's kind of creepy. But to me, he's not getting off really cool vibes. I do think he's kind of interesting. That's why I ranked him a little bit higher up. Now, coming up next is the pretty cool category. And starting off first for me is going to be the Nightmare or Freddy Krueger. The reason why I placed him in the pretty cool tier is, again, we have no powers or lore considered. So he's a guy in a sweater with a hat. And he's got this really cool glove that I think is actually really awesome. And I think that glove is the most intimidating thing about him, and it gives him so much character. He does have some disfigurement on his face and his body, which is pretty interesting too. I just think Freddy Krueger is actually, well, pretty cool. Coming up next in the pretty cool category is going to be Wraith. And I really don't have much to say about Wraith. He's just a humanoid disfigurement thing with the actually a really cool weapon. And again, no lore considered. We don't know why he got that weapon or how he got it, but yeah, it's a skull with a spine and he's got a cool design. He's got some stuff coming out of his head. Don't know what that is, But other than that, yeah, I think Wraith's pretty cool. Coming up next in the pretty cool category is going to be Deathslinger. Now, I wanted to put Deathslinger one tier up to the, you'll see later, really cool category. But for me, I never really loved the whole Western vibe, like movies or video games like Red Dead or anything. It never really appealed to me. And again, this is an opinion video. You may think Deathslinger is the coolest freaking killer ever, but to me, it's kind of average. I did rank him a little kind of in the middle of all the killers because arguably he is pretty cool. But to me, the whole Western thing never really fit with me. He does have a really cool rifle. Other than that, there's not much else to say about Deathslinger. Up next in pretty cool category is The Shape, or Michael Myers, the embodiment of evil himself. Now, the only reason why I ranked him much higher above all the other like people in mask killers, because not only is he super tall, but his mask actually works so well. The expressionless emotion on that mask makes him just seem evil, in my opinion. He's very tall and menacing. He wields a very common weapon, and with the combination of the mask and his imposing stature, I actually kind of get creeped out by him, and he's actually pretty cool in my opinion as well. So yeah, Michael Myers is in the pretty cool category. Second to last in the pretty cool category is going to be Hillbilly himself. Well, Billy. His chainsaw is really cool in my opinion. And I think the reason why I think he's actually pretty cool is because of the amount of disfigurements and like things on his body. When you're playing as Billy and you're like watching survivors by the campfire, you're ready to get into the match, kind of move his character around a little bit and try to point out all of the crazy disfigurements or staples or cuts in his body, and you'll spend like a good couple minutes trying to find everything on his body that's, well, not supposed to be there. So I don't know, it's kind of cool in my opinion. Coming in at the very last in the pretty cool category, I think is the Trickster. Now I think Trickster is actually a pretty cool, obviously he's in the pretty cool category, a pretty cool killer. Again, no lore or powers considered. He's a guy wielding a pretty cool weapon, dressed in an outfit that seems like it wouldn't fit Dead by Daylight, but it fits the Trickster perfectly. I like his hair. His eyes look really weird too and pretty interesting. And yeah, overall, I think Trickster is actually a pretty well designed and cool character. Now, the next tier up is going to be the really cool category. And I think the perfect killer to start off the really cool category is going to be the Nemesis. I don't know. He's just a super cool humanoid zombie looking thing with tentacles, and I mean literally he just got these massive fists that he punches people with. His disfigurements and like his mutations just look really cool. He's huge and imposing, and I just think he's just a really cool killer. Coming up next is going to be the Plague. Now, I always thought the Plague looked really cool. I don't know if other people feel the same way. Again, this is an opinion video, so feel free to share your opinions in the comments below on who you think is really cool or where you put the Plague. But like, I think she's really cool. I've always liked the whole like medieval era, so she fits that vibe really well. And I always thought the Plague, you know, the real bubonic plague was pretty interesting. Her design is really cool, and again, she has a lot of things on her body that are like, you know, open lesions or infections, and like, you know, you can spend a couple minutes trying to find all of them, and it's, yeah, that's kind of cool. Coming up next in the really cool category is going to be the Hag. Now, again, no lore considered. Like, her hexes I think are really cool, but we're just going strictly based off of design. And I think her design is pretty cool. It gives off like a branch, like demon creature looking thing to me. And I don't know, I love how she uses her hands to hit people. And I don't know, I mean, just to be honest, she's just pretty cool. I don't know, what else do you say about Hag? Up next is Trapper. Now, Trapper's design is actually really cool in my opinion, and his mask is super cool. He's tall and imposing. He's got all these injuries all over his body. Now, we know the entity is the one that did that to him, but again, no lore. We just know that he's just really messed up. Carries around these bear traps. His weapon's really cool. It's literally just like metal, pieces of metal. Looks like it's just welded together. And all in all, like, Trapper's like pretty the embodiment of a really cool killer. Second to last in the really cool category is going to be the Nurse. Now, I do think the Nurse is kind of bland in some ways, but the reason why I think she's really cool is two things. One, I love the whole like hood, you know, tied over with the rope over her head, and made it see, it gives me questions on like, did someone kill her? Did she do it to herself? Or I don't know. This is really interesting in my opinion. And then also she floats. She's literally like just floating around the map. So she's never really walking. She's just floating around. Also, I really like her weapon. It's just a classic bone saw that's pretty bloody. And yeah, I think Nurse is actually really cool. Now, coming up last in the really cool category, and then we're going to move up to literally the S tier right after this, is going to be the Doctor. Now, I really wanted to put Doctor in S tier. Like, I actually really wanted to. I'm surprised I didn't. But to me, I didn't want to load up S tier too much, because there's like, I have 5 killers in S tier. So I'm going to leave Doctor down here in a really cool category. He gives off a super menacing and insane look, you know, with his mouth pried open and his eyes pried open and all the electricity and cords and just things going on in his body, his burns. I don't know. He's really cool. I really want to put an S, but also I didn't want to flood S tier with, you know, killers. So we're going to leave Doctor right here. Now, coming up at the end of the video is going to be the so freaking cool category, or S tier. And I think the perfect killer to start things off is going to be the Spirit. Now, the Spirit is really badass. All of the cuts across her body, her limbs joining together. Like if you look at one of her elbows, you got your humerus at the top, you got your forearm, you know, your radius and ulna over here, and then it's cut, and you just have a floating elbow. Like that's pretty cool. She has cuts all over her body. Her katana retracts out of her hand. Her hair is super creepy. The movements she makes is, I don't know, I was like dancing right there. The movements she makes is pretty cool. Her eyes look super menacing. I don't know. I think Spirit is one of the coolest killers in the game. Coming up next in the so freaking cool category is going to be the Blight. Now, the reason why I think the Blight is so cool is he's a pretty actually awesome like killer that, you know, he's hunched over. His jaw is like coming completely off his mouth. He's got this orange serum all over the place. He looks like a demon crackhead. I don't know. I always thought Blight was really cool, interesting. And yeah, I mean, do you guys agree? I think Blight's really cool. Now we're cracking into the top 3. Can anyone guess who they are? For me, coming at number 3 is going to be Pyramid Head. Now, Pyramid Head might look dumb to others, but to me, he literally looks like a super creepy executioner demon person. His body is super menacing and imposing and intimidating. I mean, the pyramid on his head, it might look dumb again to others, but to me, I think it looks really cool. He's got literally the biggest weapon in the game, and it's just like bloody. But I don't really know why. I just think Pyramid Head is actually really cool. Now, coming in at number 2 is going to be the Demogorgon. Now, of course, Demogorgon was going to be pretty high up on the list because he's an alien and a good boy, and he's by far the most unique killer in Dead by Daylight. Obviously, the coolest thing about the Demogorgon is when he opens up his face, exposing his like thousands of teeth, and you know, his scream and his claws are really cool too. I just think Demogorgon fits really well in Dead by Daylight, and I'm going to be so upset when he leaves in November. If you guys didn't buy him yet, make sure you do, because he's not going to be available come like what, mid-November or something like that. Now, coming in at number 1 on the coolest killers in Dead by Daylight, in my opinion, is going to be the Oni. Now, the Oni to me is like just the perfect killer in Dead by Daylight. He's tall and menacing. He's a supernatural being. His red eyes and his mask are so cool. His weapons are really cool, especially when he charges up. And to me, I just think the Oni is so cool. I mean, he's a literal Oni, and you could tell this by his blue skin. And you know, like the third eye thing in the middle of his mask on the forehead, I think is really cool as well. Also, the white flowy hair just looks amazing on him as well. Well, guys, are the lamest to coolest killers in Dead by Daylight, in my opinion. What do you guys think? Who would you put in S tier, and who would you put in the lamest category? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and notifications if you're new. Now, with all that being said, Jeppy out!